Thanks for it's a privilege to be invited to this meeting. I think one of the most important ones because it aims on the animal welfare. That's what we work for it all the time. I'm very glad to be in this panel with so many good friends and also collaborators of mine. So I'll try, I'm not sure I can pass. Can you help me to the presentation? I can, okay. So I'm going to talk and let you know a little bit about Latin American countries and how they deal with the 3 R's and animal welfare. We have a multicultural continent. So of course we have different levels, economic levels, cultural, educational, and this reflects very much on science. So next, please. Sorry, I cannot change the slides. Okay. And comparing to other parts of the world, laboratory science in Latin America is a young science. And so giving its first steps, but I can tell you, we are running very fast to achieve all the aims we have. And we have to deal with great difference among the 23 countries. And what are main welfare issues in these countries? Many countries do not have any regulations concerning laboratory animals. The education in laboratory animal science is very little or just starting. And in others, we have a high level of education in laboratory animal science. So these are main welfare issues we have to deal with and try to solve them. And how do you do this? Well, we have of the 23 countries, we only have 3 countries that have specific law, and these are Brazil, Mexico, and Uruguay. And the principle of these laws are the 3 R's. They are just, if you start reading the law, you can see they say that you have to find alternatives, that you have to use the smallest number of animals possible, and you have to look for refinement on your experiments. So besides having been embedded with the 3 R's in their minds, because of the many years we're trying to show people how important these are in our day-to-day experiments, we have to follow in these countries, we have to follow the 3 R's by law. So, and in other countries, you can just pass them a little quick, please.
Ekaterina, just tell me next, and then I'll go to the next.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so I cannot pass one by one, I cannot go one by one because it will take lots of time. But many of them, the others, they do not have the laws, specific laws, I said, but they have some animal welfare laws that in 1 or 2 chapters they mention not being cruel to animals in experiments, and that's what they have. In others, they do not have any references to laboratory animals, and others don't even have an animal welfare law. So what we're trying to do is to go to all of these countries and help them to organize, next please, to have a law, or to have something, a way of working and preserving the 3 R's in their experiments. Next, please. So you can pass all the countries, please. Okay, so as I say, if anyone is interested in knowing about any country after this, I can gladly help you if I can. So as I said, not all countries have legislation covering the use of animals in research, but all of them have ethical review programs. They have different names, Sequales in some countries, SEWAs in other countries, but the same principle, ethical review process, as I told you. And next. So I can tell you, I'm going to tell you, before I speak of the roads traveled by, what we're doing. I'm going to start with the example of Brazil. In 1985, Brazil tried to pass a law in the Congress, And it took 13 years to be approved. Only 2008 it was approved. So during this time, we thought we should do something. We could not keep on working with animals without anything, without doing anything, preserving their welfare. And so we contacted some people from Canada. Among them, I have to cite Dr. Gilles Demers. He came here gladly to Brazil. He helped us to start with ethical review committees. And we also preached in every institution about the 3 Rs. So if we don't have a law, but we have ethical review committees, and we have the principle of the 3 Rs to be followed. And amazingly, everyone said, okay. And we could walk around all the institutions and giving lectures, organizing seminars, organizing courses. And so this started to grow in such a way that you could, all around the country, we could see the results of our efforts. And the Brazilian Ministry our Ministry of Science and Technology, they were very eager to help us. And so they said, no, we won't give any financial support to a project if they don't follow the 3 Rs, and that the projects pass by an ethical review process. So this was I think it was the biggest step we gave, because we could follow it, because we knew we needed it, and that's what was needed to be, and not because of the law. So when the law was approved, this was very easy for us to follow the law, because we already had this thinking on the use of the 3 Rs and looking for the animal welfare. And okay, this was the way we had in Brazil. And this was really very good, because the other countries started to asking us to go there, help them to elaborate a draft of a law, or to give lectures on how to be ethical, on how to use animals in an ethical way, and how we could preserve the animal welfare in countries where sometimes the human rights weren't even preserved, but they were interested in preserving the animal welfare. And this is very rewarding for us. And we keep on doing this every day. Next, please. So we could englobe almost all of the countries. I can say all the countries in Latin America. And so the ethical review processes were essential to start a vision of what can be done, preserving animal welfare and good science. And so, as I said before, this was our major achievement. Next. So, okay, I think we had a great success. And this was due mainly because the associations or the societies, the scientists, the university, the institutions, they were all interested in following what we were preaching, you know. And so I didn't even put here the many meetings we organized, congresses and seminars. And I can tell you now, courses on laboratory animal science before any post-graduation student starts its project, they must pass by a course. This is compulsory by law in that countries that have law, and in other countries that do not have law. They also say that they prefer the projects are approved or financed if the students pass by compulsory course on laboratory animal science. Okay, and the main theme in all of these congresses, I think it was always the 3 Rs and animal welfare. I can only mention here some of the international congresses we had on alternatives. This year we are going to have the third one. Every 2 years we organize a congress on alternatives. The first one was in Brazil, the second in Argentina. Now it will be in Mexico in November. And there's an international one. Another very important meeting we have is Expo Biotherius. It was virtual because it started in 2020. And we always have about 1,200, 1,400 attendees. And the motto of the Congress was animal welfare in the 3 R's, the last one. And this one will be also transparency in the 3 R's. Then we thought that the question of the 3 R's in animal welfare had to be known by other professional persons. And so we made 3 interdisciplinary congresses that we were helped by the International Organization for Animal Health, OAE, and they helped us with many lecturers. And in these congresses, we had not only scientists, veterinarians, we also had judges, prosecutors, psychologists, and about 1,200 people attending these congresses. And the associations make a congress every year, generally, or every 2 years. And the Brazilian Society had a congress together with ICLAS, the International Council for Laboratory Animal Science in Brazil. And so we are trying to be international too. From a long time ago, we're always trying to have many collaborations and interchanges with other countries, and not only among Latin America, but with Europe, with North America, Asia, Africa, and all parts of the world. And we also, here I have to mention, I didn't put the name here, but I have to mention some person. I generally don't mention people, so I not want to be unfair to some others that I don't mention. But this one I have to mention, this Dr. Otávio Presgrave, that has been working, I have been working with him and with OECD on BRACVAM, that's the Brazilian Council on Validation of Alternatives, BRACVAM, and we have been pressing politicians to listen to us and to help us financially too. And so we have the Brazilian accreditation program, and due to Dr. Octavio, and we hope now we can develop a better way, and also helping other countries in Latin America to have this kind of program. Or it's not a program really, it's an institutional program. And we have the support of the Brazilian Ministry of Science and Technology. And so BRACVAM is part of the Brazilian Ministry of Science and Technology. So, and now we are even more stronger because we have 2 federations, the Federation of the South American countries and the Federation of the Central American and the Caribbean countries. And now we have made an accord, and so we are working together. And if we make any event, we are working together, and we are having every 2 months, we have meetings from FESACAL and FESANCAL together, and trying to, with all the presidents of the associations of every Latin American country. We have 7 already in South America, and I think we have, I'm not sure how many in FESANCAL, but about 6. And so we invited the presidents and asked them in what way can we help them. So I can tell you we're being very, very active. Even with the pandemics, we could work online and did a lot of, including meetings, events. And next year, we hope to have a very large event from FESACAL and FESANCAL together too. Next. Well, I'm sure difficulties will continue, but the panorama I see is a very promising one. And I can assure you that Latin America is sensible and aware of all issues related to the 3 R's and animal welfare, and that we are able to change the current situation to a best one. And to achieve it, our scientific community is actively looking for international interactions and harmonization of procedures involving the use of animals in research. Next. So we have a mission, and I myself put my as one of the missionaries in this kind of mission. That's aiming the animal welfare and alternatives and the 3 R's in laboratory animal science and Latin America. And before saying this, I would like to tell you that in countries that do not have legislation, some of them follow the guide, the American guide, the 8th edition. In fact, it's translated to Spanish and Portuguese, and also the OIE procedures recommendations of the group of laboratory animal welfare group. That was the chapter 7.8 of the terrestrial code, which Dr. Wajdi and myself were part of the group. And so they follow this too. And you can see on the beginning of the OIE chapter that the aim are the alternatives, animal welfare, and the 3 R's. So I can tell you that Latin America is working hand in hand with the same aim, being sure to get there, applying the 3 R's independently if we have or not legislation, being animal welfare our first thought, and also harmonized with the rest of the world. Because I can tell you, this is the America that trembles in hurricanes and lives in love. Next. And I leave you a gran abrazo latino-americano, and I would be glad to answer any questions if you have. Thank you very much. And thanks again, Caroline, for the invitation. And these are the reference I based my talk on.